Howdy and welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be doing another episode of World in Flames Collector's Edition, Days of Decision 3, number 2, combined game playthrough number 2. And last turn we saw hostilities erupt on the Eastern Front. The Germans attacking the Russians, and it was a pretty good Barbarossa from the aspect of the Germans. I actually think they think the turn was a little bit too short, but of course the Russians think the opposite. That being said, this is going to be the September-October turn, so let's go and take a look at what we have for starting money for the major powers. Alright, starting money for the major powers looks something like this. We have Germany at -3, Japan at 0, Italy at -1, the Soviet Union at 0, the Commonwealth at -6, the USA at -3, China at 0, and Free France at -12. Now, I have been scrapping units for the major powers. Those are basically older units like 1936, 1937, even some 1938 units. So that's adjusting the money upward a little bit for the major powers. So if the numbers don't quite add up, that's why. That being said, let's take a look at who has decided to bid for a political option this turn. And we have 4 major powers bidding. We have Japan is bidding 1, the United States is bidding 4, and I'll go into that in a minute. The Soviet Union is bidding 1, and Germany is also bidding 1. Now both Japan and the Soviet Union are getting bonus bid points because last turn they didn't get political options. So let's see how this pans out on the political initiative track. Alright, I think we got everybody in there. Alright, so we have Japan bidding 1. They're going to get a +2 for their 5th place position and 4 points for not getting a political option last turn. So that's a total of 7. That's going to put them in 1st. The US is bidding 4. They're going to get a +3 for their current 2nd place position. That's a total of 7. However, they're going for 2 options, so that's going to be 3.5. But that is enough to get them 2nd. The Soviets are bidding 1. They're getting 4 bonus bid points and +1 for their 6th place position. That's a total of 6. However, they're going for 2 options. That's going to be a net of 3. That's going to put them in a 3rd. And Germany is bidding 1. They're getting +4 for their 1st place position for a total of 5. However, they're going for 2 options. That's going to be 2.5. 5 divided by 2. That's going to put them in at 4th. So the last card will go Japan, and the last card will go Germany. Kind of turnaround of events for the Germans as far as the political initiative track goes. Usually they're in 1st. Now for the non-bidding major powers, we have Free France at +3, that's going to put them in at 5th. The Commonwealth at +2, that's going to put them in at 6th. Italy at +1 for 7, and China at 8th. Alright, Japan's up first. Let's go check out, see what they want to get for a political option. Okay, before we go to the Japanese political option for this turn, want to quickly take a look at U.S. entry. Now, I had been forgetting to subtract for the Neutrality Act. It says a -1 for any U.S. entry, and so I had to go back and retroactively do that for the Germans, Japanese, and the Italians, and for all the major powers. So it skewed the math a little bit, but U.S. entry for this turn, we do have Germany at 46.5. Japan at 19.5, and Italy at 0. So there will be an entry action for the Germans anyways. And going forward, the numbers I can only guess are just going to continuously increase at this point. Alright, for the Japanese are going to do military marshals, which the prerequisite for that is Japan's production multiple is greater than 0.5, it is. And Japan's initiative position is less than the U.S. Well, Japan's 1, so obviously that's less. The U.S. entry for this is going to be a +2. There are some minor effects, which I will put out. This also costs Japan 1 money. And as soon as I get all that accomplished, I'll come right back and we will have Japan activate a minor. Okay, it's time for Japan to activate a minor, and they're going to activate Argentina. Let's go over to the status display and see what happens with this. Now, Japan knows there's 3 German points in there, right? But that's okay. There's also 1 Japanese point. Now, normally the Japanese point would just get blown off, but in this case, it may actually be useful for the Japanese. So, first up, we're going to do the 3 for the Germans. Well, it's 2 for the hex, 1 to cross a boundary, so that's a total of 3 points. So that puts Argentina right here. Now, the 1 Japanese point, this is the rare cases where these are actually useful, is Japan is in the same section of the fascist ideology, which is a paternal monarchist. So, normally the hex costs 2, but since we're moving towards a major power that can control the minor within the major power's ideology, the 1 is subtracted from the cost, so the hex actually only costs 1. So that moves Argentina right there, and Japan is very, 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 very happy with that. Now, we don't roll to end the political phase. We move on to the United States because the dice has a +1 to it. So we'll come back over here to the Indian Ocean, and we will look and see what the U.S. wants to do. The U.S. is going to offer a level 1 treaty to the Soviet Union. Yes, Lend-Lease can happen, and they're going to try and get a Lend-Lease situation going with the Soviets. Now, the U.S. entry for that is going to be a +3, and there is some effects here, which I will put out. The money is going to be 4, but none of this is going to happen until we get to the Soviet turn and they accept it. So I'm going to just put this aside for now. We do have to roll to see if the U.S. ends the political phase, though. Let me grab my dice. Alright, the roll to end the political phase. There's been 1 previous option played. The 6 doesn't do it. We'll move down to... We'll stay at the U.S. because they have 2 political options they want to do. Let me grab the other sheet. Okay, the United States, for a second political option, is going to try to sign a minor alliance with Brazil. Now, this is going to require a die roll, and the modifiers are, let's see. Okay, I'll read the prerequisites. Not in civil war, not at war, not as declared war on. Into 2 alliances. Yeah, they make all the prerequisites. Brazil has no other minor alliances. So, we add 1 to the result for each factory resource you have in the minor. So we're gonna they have 1 resource there now, so that's a +1. Add the minor's willpower. We look up Brazil. We find out that Brazil has a willpower of 4. So that's a +5. We will subtract our initiative position, and that is 2, so that's a +3. And subtract the distance and hexes on the status display. Now, if we look over at the status display, we see there's 2 hexes, so now we're at +1. If the result is more than 0, you succeed in making the alliance. So we roll a die. It's pretty much guaranteed. 6 +1 is 7. That's more than 0. The U.S. signs an alliance with Brazil. So I will note that down. I will apply the treaty chart here because it was successful. Pay the 5 money, and I'll come back with the U.S. activating a minor. Okay, the U.S. wants to activate Brazil. So we'll grab the markers. We'll come over here. See how this works out. We have a 1 German and a 3 U.S. Now, the 1 German, it's going to drag Brazil back this way. It costs at least 2 for the hex and 1 to cross the boundary, so that's 3. So that's not going to do anything. The 3 for the U.S., however, that's going to do something. Normally it's 2 for the hex and 1 to cross the boundary, which is 3. However, we're moving towards a major power that can control the minor, so it's going to make the cost of this hex 2. That leaves 1 point. Okay, that leaves 1 point left. Now, normally this hex is 1, however, we're 2. However, we're moving towards the major power that can control the miner. And Brazil is not hostile. Well, I just had to check that. So the actual cost for that hex will be 1, and that will stack Brazil with the U.S. Now, the U.S. can't align Brazil yet because the U.S. is actually not in the war, but they definitely are in a position to do something like that. Last thing for the U.S. to do is roll a die and see if they end the political phase. A 10 does not do that. We will move on down to the Soviet Union, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to know what they're going to do. Okay, the Soviets are going to agree to a proposal and sign the Level 1 treaty with the United States. So I will go and put out all the minor effects and record the U.S. entry for this and pay the money. And I'll come back in a few seconds and we will activate another miner for the U.S. Okay, the U.S. gets to activate a miner for the successful treaty signing. And they've decided they're going to activate Portugal. We'll grab the markers, we'll come over here to the status display. We don't want the Germans getting any more influence in Portugal, so I think this will be a good way to denote that. Oh, I want to make a quick note here that the U.S. could have played a U.S. entry option this turn, but she decided not to. She feels that getting the alliance with Brazil is probably a better idea. She had a chance to do it, so she did. The U.S. entries can be played at a later turn, even though the U.S. entry level for the U.S. is going up considerably this turn. She feels that she'll still be able to get it next turn. All right, let's see how this works out for Portugal. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to activate the German one. Well, actually, we'll activate the Chinese one. That's 1 point. Doesn't do anything out here in the neutral zone. Now we'll activate the German 4. Now remember, Portugal has a treaty, an alliance with Great Britain. So it's going to add 1 to the cost of each hex for moving away from the Commonwealth. So it's normally 2 for the hex. It'll be 3 for that hex. And there's only 1 point left. That's not enough to get in either of those hexes. Now we'll activate the U.S. 2 points. And that's going to draw Portugal closer to the U.S. and it'll push it down into this hex right here. And the Commonwealth is kind of okay with that. All right, last thing we do is we've had 3 previous political options played. So we'll roll a die and see if the political phase ends. A 9, it does not. So we got another political option, and it's the Soviets. And let's go see what they want to do. So this is a die roll. Russia's going to do quell resistance. And simply just a die roll. And roll the die. Okay, well, they got an 8. An 8 is going to be, it says +2 here, but we're actually quelling resistance, and you do the opposite effect. So it's going to be a -2. So what I did is I put a -2 marker right over the partisan effect. So hopefully that reminds me that there's actually, the new partisan rating in Iran is actually 2. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to roll a die to see if the turn ends. Political phase ends. We rolled another 10. I'm rolling 10s lately. And so the political phase will continue. We will move down to Germany and we will see what the Germans want to do. Okay, we're down to the Germans, and the Germans owe a political option for declaring war on the Soviet Union. They're going to select this to pay for that. All the minor effects have already been put out. The U.S. entry has already been put out. The cost is already paid. And the only thing I have to do for the Germans is roll to see if we end the political phase. So they don't get to activate a minor for that. Oh my gosh. Another 10. Okay, so obviously it's not going to end. So now we'll go on for the second German political option. And I do believe that's going to be another one they owe. It's this one right here. Minor joins in. They owe for that, for bringing Turkey into the war. All the effects have already been put out. The money's been paid for. The only thing the Germans have to do is they have to activate a miner. And I think I'm going to have to take a look and see what they can do here, because there really isn't a whole lot of miners left. I'll be back in a second. Alright, the Germans are going to activate Bulgaria. Now there's a -8 German here. All the Germans really want to do is try to drive Bulgaria away from the Soviet Union. Keep them from getting allied with the Soviet Union. Okay, we got -8 for the Germans, and we have a 2 for the Americans. We're going to activate the 2 for the Americans first, and let's see, that's going to be either this hex or this hex. So this hex, it's going to be 2 for the hex, 1 to cross the boundary, that's 3. So the 2 points for the Americans doesn't do anything. Now we have -8 for the Germans. Now Bulgaria doesn't have any alliances with anybody, so it's going to be 2, 2 for this hex, 2 for this hex, and 2 for this hex. It's a total of 6. And won't be able to drive it any further away here because this is the 12th hex. Can't go any further than that with negative influence. So that's the end of that. And Germany's happy with driving Bulgaria 3 hexes away from the Soviet Union. They're okay with that. I mean, there's probably little chance or any chance whatsoever that either Germany or Italy will ever align Bulgaria at this point, but they're okay keeping them out of the hands of the Soviets. All right, let's go and let's do initiative. We can do initiative right here. All right, the initiative modifier track is right here. +2 for the fascists, +1s for the Soviets, and a -1 for the Democrats. Okay, grab the dice. Alright, so the fascists have a 8, the Soviets have a 2, and the Democrats have a 4. So I think the fascists probably want to go first. So they're going to go first. Now, the Soviets and the Democrats. I think just from the Chinese perspective, I think the Soviets and the Democrats, I think they've decided that the Democrats should go before the Soviets. Yeah, that way they can coordinate with China. All right, let me go grab the weather chart and we'll roll weather. Okay, ready for the weather roll. A 4. September, October. A 4 is fair weather everywhere. The impulse marker will move up 1, and there's no modifier to the initiative for next turn. The fascists are happy about that. Now let's go take a look at reinforcements. Okay, reinforcements for September, October. There's a giant pile of Soviet reinforcements. These are all militia units they built last turn. So I'm just going to set them aside. There's 3 more. What do we got here? We got a big infantry army, a motorized army, and a Cav Corps. Those are all for the Soviets. Let's see if I can get this without knocking it all over. All these right here are ships that are going in the construction pool. So I'm just going to put them over here for now. We got American subs, British carriers and battleships. So all this goes in the construction pool, and I will sort that out later. And then we got a big pile here for the Germans. So all reinforcements for the Germans. We got the Turkish 1941 artillery unit. We have a pilot for the Germans. We have an infantry corps. We have a tactical bomber for Sweden. We have 5 offensive points. We have 1, 2, 3 subs. Another combat air group. I'll put that in the reserve pool. Oh, a second combat air group. That's probably going to go on board. We'll swap that out with one of the existing ones. We have a Raider. We have a heavy cruiser, the Von Mackensen. And we have Mainstein. Mainstein on the map. Alright, that's all that. We have 2 Chinese units, an Cav division, and a garrison army. We have some Commonwealth units here. We have the repaired Greek ship. Fixed the holes in our side. We have a pilot. We have a militia, and we have a DE. We have a mechanized corps and a couple of convoy points. That's all good for them. And then what do we got for the U.S.? We have a combat air group. Put that in the reserve pool. We have a Lend-Lease Air Cobra, possibly going to the Soviets maybe at some point. We also have a Lend-Lease Kitty Hawk 1A P-40 that can get Lend-Lease to the Commonwealth. And we have a Baltimore 5 A-30. That also is a Lend-Lease aircraft, as well as a DE unit. And for the Italians, we got a pilot. We have a repaired heavy cruiser, an infantry corps, a militia corps, a mechanized corps, and the Garzani, an armored headquarters army. And last but not least, we have the Japanese. Japanese have a really good heavy cruiser, a not so good light cruiser, and then we have a couple of combat air groups. Put those over here. We also have a convoy point and a headquarters and a territorial for Indochina. So here's a good look at the reinforcements. There's the big stack of Soviet stuff. Those guys right there. And I will get these on the map, and we will come back with the first impulse. Okay, we got to edit here. The Soviets more than likely would have asked for a reroll at this point. Even without knowing what the weather was, they still would have asked for a reroll. So I think I'm going to do that. What that does is that moves this down 1 to the 0 box. And you roll the initiative dice again. So I think they would have done that regardless. I think they really want to go first. So I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to let them have it. Well, it didn't matter. Didn't matter. It's going to be the same order. Sorry, Soviets. You had your chance. I gave you a break. And choked anyways. So, all right. I got to take a look at the board. And then I will come right back with the first fascist impulse. We're going to start over here in Asia. And the Japanese have taken a land impulse, and they got a ground strike right here. So I will dig those counters out, and we have 2 air units, a 3 and a 2. Oh, first we're going to have an air battle because the Chinese are going to rise to intercept, and the Japanese will intercept the interceptors with their long-range fighters. So we got a little bit of an air battle here first. It's going to be +1 for the Japanese, -1 for the Chinese. Chinese fire first. Let's see what they get. Oh, 3, that's really good. On the -1 chart, a 3 is AX. Attacker destroys defender's front fighter or front bomber. Now, I think the Chinese want to kill the bomber. Yep, they're going to kill that bomber. Oh yeah. The pilot lives, the bomber dies. And now the Japanese get to roll. Flying Tigers, that's an 11. That's the worst possible roll you can get on the +1. And 11 is defender clears through any one bomber. There's no bombers. Hard. Okay, Japan definitely going to try to get something through, so we're going to have another round. Actually see what's going on here. So we've lost one Japanese bomber so far. That's an 8. That's not that great. 8 is not that great. On the -1, 8 is a dash, which is no effect. Now the Japanese shoot back. That is a 15. On the +1, 15 is attacker abort. So the Chinese fighter is aborted. The Japanese bomber will get through. He has to go land. That was expensive, very expensive for the... I think we're going to land this guy back here at Kuming, because I think this hex might end up getting lost. So we got 3 units here to do a ground strike on. We have 3 points, so it's going to be red, green, white, right to left. Red or green, so the reserve unit is flipped over. The other 2 are okay. That's about 30%-ish, so that was okay. This bomber got to go home and flip over. And now, Japan is going to allocate some ground support to the attack. They're going to send in these 2 and this one. This gives us 28 factors right here to 9, which is a 3-to-1. We're going to throw in HQ effects. HQ effects. Chang's could, but it's a waste of time for him to do that. So we're going to have a 3-to-1 +2 on the assault table. And it's actually going to be a +1 because there's a factory there. A 9. 3-to-1 on the assault. A 9, which becomes a 10, is cross 2S. Couldn't get any better than that from Japan's perspective. Cross 2S. He goes home, flips over. These are all dead. One of them will be shattered. So the Chinese, the 4-2 is going to get shattered, and the other 2 are going to be killed. Alright, and half the Japanese units remain face up, so that's going to be 3 units. So we're going to push the 6-2 forward. We're going to push the artillery forward and the 8-3 forward. And that 5-3 will flip over, because that's half, and it's half remain face up. So 2.5 rounds to 3 units remain face up. And I think Japan is perfectly happy with the way that turned out. They managed to take another Chinese town and take another Chinese blue factory. So I will adjust the Chinese factory totals, and when I come back, we will start in on the European theater. Okay, Germany is doing a land action. She paid the oil for that. Italy is also going to do a land action. She has paid the oil for the ground support that she's going to use, but that's about it. And I will do the movement and I will come back with any attacks. It's probably the Germans are probably going to spend this turn trying to consolidate their lines. Maybe we'll get a little closer to Leningrad. I don't know. Figure it out after I move everything. I will be back in a second with that. Oh, the other thing, Germany is going to pay 1 offensive point to take 1 naval action. So she will get her subs out into the Atlantic this turn. Okay, we'll start down here in the Middle East. First up, we have an attack on this one. Right here, it's a 3-to-1 on the Blitzkrieg table with a +1. There are no British fighters in sight. I think the Commonwealth will use their HQ effects to negate the Italian +1. That's on the Blitzkrieg table. 3-to-1. 3-to-1. And that is a 9. I don't know if you can see that. There it is. 3-to-1 on the Blitzkrieg table. A 9 is cross B. So they got blitzed. The units will be treated as shattered. These two have to go find a home. These 2 units are considered shattered, so they will come back next turn. If there's anything left there. Half the Italian units remain face up, so let's see. This one will be face up. That one will be face up. And I will leave the artillery face up. And we get the blitz, so they will blitz here. And the British are in trouble down here in Egypt. Okay, now we have a 6-to-1 attack over here against the Iraqis. This is on the assault table. And that's going to be no pluses, no minuses. And that's a 4 on the, that's actually a 5-to-1 on the assault table. A 4 is -1S, so the Iraqi are dead, but all the Turkish units are turned face down. Iraqis are gone. British can rebuild them, of course. They will occupy the hex. All these guys are face down. Boy, the British got a problem. Okay, for the Germans, we did a little bit of movement here and there. So what we got for movement, we do have a couple of attacks. Unfortunately, all the German air power is way back here, so there'll be lots of rebasing this turn. And let's do the attacks. Okay, we got a, I think this is a 7-to-1. And it's on the assault table. And I think that's going to be a -1 because of the factories there. But I think von Bock's going to add his +1 to the attack by using HQ benefits. So it's going to be a 7-to-1 straight up. And that's a 9. That's pretty good. That's star 2S. So they're dead. The factory in Kiev was railed out last turn. Those are not cadres. And we get to occupy the hex. We'll occupy with that guy and that guy, and I gotta find out where von Bock is. He's right there. He goes upside down. He can occupy too. Yeah, why not? Now I got an attack here. We got a 5-to-1 on the Blitzkrieg table. I'll roll that. That's a 6. 5-to-1 on the Blitzkrieg table. And let's see, a 6 is star 1B. So the Soviet garrison army is destroyed. They will get a cadre for that. And let's see. Actually, do I actually have armor? I might have to recheck this. Oh yeah, there's armor right there. So we'll do that, occupy that. No attack here, and up here against the headquarters, all by his lonesome. Now I messed it up. I gotta recheck that. Okay, that's an 8-to-1 attack. That's an automatic. And that can actually blitz beyond that. And they're happy. The Germans are happy with that. And I think that concludes it for the first fascist impulse. And I got to do some air rebasing, and I will come back with the Democrat impulse in just a second. No, we're not quite done the fascist impulse. We got a potential for a couple of naval engagements or sub-engagements up here in the Faros Gap, as well as in the North Atlantic. So first thing we got to do is roll some search dice. It's fair. No, nobody gonna find anything with that. 7 and a 5. And we'll do it in the North Atlantic as well. A 3. They did indeed find. There's convoy points there. It's not enough there. Wouldn't have affected that anyways. Yeah. Okay, so we got 6, 8, 11, 14. Okay, there's 14 costs. So yes, there's plenty there. Now surprise points is going to be 9, 6. They're going to be 6 surprise points. Then we got total number of sub factors. We have total number. We have 6. They have for ASW. They have 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 4. 2, 3, 4. They have 5. We have 6. They have 5. The Germans have 6, and the Commonwealth have 5 ASW. And let's see, 5 ASW against 2 subs. That's 1 and 3 aborted. Wow. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's 1 and 1. We're going to move him down 2. He gets nothing. And we have 6 sub factors against 2 and 3, 5 ships, 6 ships, 5 ships. 6 sub factors against 5 ships. We're going to move ourselves up 1. That's all the surprise points. We sink 1, so we're going to take 3 convoy points, and there are 3 aborts. So the 3 convoy points sunk. If there is a 3 in there. Excellent. And then for the first abort, the Commonwealth will pick one of their cruisers, whatever that one is, and it is aborted. And for the second abort, the Germans will pick the 3 tankers. Now they're automatically aborted. Sorry, I'm going to put them up here in northern Scotland to designate that they are aborted. And for the last abort, the Commonwealth will pick another one of their cruisers. A 3, and it will be aborted. So a good action in the Atlantic for the Germans. They only have one more shot at it, but that's okay. Alright, now I'll come back as soon as I figure out what the Democrats are going to do. Okay, for the Commonwealth, she took a combined and she did manage to get enough reinforcements that were nearby to basically construct somewhat of another line. I don't know, the Italians might be able to breach that, but that's what she did. That's the best she can do. That was all her land moves, so she couldn't do anything else. It's a good thing the Turks are all face down over here. Over here in China, the nationalists abandoned this hex right here, moving their troops this way, forming a new line. It's actually a stronger line now. They are giving up Nanning, but that's the way it goes. The communists took over this hex. They put a 7-3 there. Unfortunately, it will flip over because of the mountains. There's a 7-3, but that's a pretty strong unit in the mountains that defends at 14. So that's pretty good. And when we moved on to the communist impulse, we had a bunch of rail moves for the Soviets. They kind of trying to get some kind of defensive line going here, best they can. So that is about the size of that right now. And that's about it. The Commonwealth did, for their one air mission, they flew their Sunderland out. Or the PBY, I'm sorry, the PBY. They flew that guy out. And that was it. So now we will move on to a weather roll. See what we get for weather. And that will be the fascists. I'm sure the fascists are hoping and hoping it's nice weather. Nice weather is good for attacking. Alright, let's see what we get. That's a 5. Uh-oh. Rain in the Arctic. Fair, fair, rain, fair, fair. So rain in the Arctic. Rain in North Monsoon. Fair everywhere else. The impulse marker moves up 1. Just like to note that we'll go over here and check it out before I start moving them. But if you look at the weather line over here, this little blue line right here, goes off this way, off that way. Up here is Arctic. Down here is North Temperate. So this is okay. That's rain. So the Soviets caught a break with this one. So I will do the fascist impulse, and I will come back with any attacks and all that good fun stuff. Okay, we have one attack down in Africa, and that is the extent of attacks on the European board. We'll potentially have some action in the Atlantic, but this is the only attack we have right now. And it's going to be a 3-1 on the assault table. The Italians are just trying to kill Wavell. That's all they're trying to do. So we'll roll a die and see what we get. 3-1. Oh my God, that's a 1 on the assault table. The Italians lose 2. That's going to be the end of that attack. The Italians lose 2. Ouch. That is bad. I guess that was El Yamin, maybe? Something like that. And all the Italian units are flipped face over, face down rather. And that is the end of that. 2 infantry corps toast with the single die roll. No attacks in Japan. We'll come out to the Atlantic. I already flipped a sub. And we'll see if we find anybody. What happened to my green die? Okay. Well, a 10 and a 5. Well, the Commonwealth, the Sunderland, or the PBY, did actually find something. He's a 5. It's clear weather in North Temperate. So there's basically going to be, he doesn't have any ability to do anything except engage in surface action. He doesn't have a circled air to sea ratio or anything, so he can't engage subs that don't want to engage in combat. So that's the end of that. But it does stop the Germans from inflicting any casualties. So we'll try out here in the North Atlantic again. And now we do have something in the North Atlantic. We got a 1 and a 4. So all the German subs will be engaged. And let's see, surprise points. 3, 7, 6 surprise points again. So it's going to be 3 shifts. However, the Commonwealth put a DE unit out here. So it shoots first, regardless. It's a 1, so he will get to shoot a die at 2 subs. And this takes effect before the sub combat. 1 against 2 subs. It doesn't do anything. So I think he's going to save it to do the regular ASW. That's just not too smart if you don't. All right, so for ASW they have 3, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's 3 ASW. He didn't get a chance to put any more ships out there. 3 ASW against 2 ships. We're going to have 6 sub points against 5 ships. We're going to move him down 2 rows. He doesn't. He's got against 2 ships. He does no effect, and we're going to move up 1 row. 6 is going to go to 8 to 10 for 5 ships. It's 1 sunk and 3 aborted. And they're all the ASW can save, I believe. So I'll roll for him. He doesn't. So we're going to take 3 subs out. 3 convoy points out. And going to abort 6 more. And you won't be able to use those till after convoy pipeline placement. So that's the end of that. And that was a good round as far as the Germans are concerned, but that is also the last round they can do in the Atlantic because both of those subs are now turned face down. Okay. That's sunk. And I owe 1 convoy point in there. And I believe that is it. I will come back with the Democrat and Communist impulses and see what they do. Okay, the Democrats are starting to get serious about their convoy protection. Well, at least the Commonwealth is anyways. And they took a naval, so there wasn't any land movement around. However, the Free French down here in Africa did move a cav unit. The Chinese Democrats didn't actually move anything. They kind of don't have to. And then we come over to the Communists. The Communist Chinese were good. The Soviets, it looks like they're getting aligned together. It looks like they're getting aligned. Those guys are supposed to be in Moscow. It looks like they're getting aligned together. Yes, indeed. Still a big gap up there in the north, and there's a little bit of gap down here around Kursk. But, hey, if we get a really good weather roll for the Soviets, we'll be just fine with that. Alright, and that brings us back to the fascist impulse, where we will roll for weather. Let's see what we get. Excuse me. A 3. Oh, that's not what the Soviets wanted. Fair weather everywhere. Impulse marker moves up 1. And I will come back after I move everything and see what we're going to have. Okay, Japan kind of did nothing. They moved some units around. That's about all they did. Over here in the east, over here in Europe, the Italians took a naval. So they're transporting troops to Africa. And over here in Europe, we have two attacks. We have the problem with the Germans right now is they got so much stuff way back that it's just taking forever to get it up to the front. We got a 7-1 here, which is an automatic, so he will be toast. And that can be a blitzkrieg. Do we want to do that? Oh, well, we have armor. I think we might just occupy the hex instead. Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll just occupy the hex. Yeah, we're good with that. Alright, and over here, a little bit more of a dicey attack. We have a 5-1 on the blitzkrieg table. We'll have to roll that one. Not a factory or anything, so it's just 5-1 straight up. And 8 on the blitzkrieg table, 5-1 is star 2B. So he is gone. And let's see, I know there's some German armor there, but I don't know that we want to blitz with these guys. Ah, come on, get apart. Yeah, okay, I think we're just going to occupy the hex again. Oh, we do have another armor unit right here. I think he can blitz. He will blitz to here. And that will be that. There's no more attacks. We do have a sub-action in the Atlantic, so let's go check that out. We flipped another sub. We'll see if anybody finds anybody. Alright, here's this dice. Where's the other dice? I swear I lose my dice all the time. Here it is, right in front of my face. Alright. Let's roll some dice and see what happens in the Atlantic. Yeah, 9 and an 8. Yeah, nope. Nothing happened in there this turn. And the North Atlantic is all done because the subs have all been allocated for battle, so that's done. I think that's it for the Axis. For the fascists. I think I will move on to the Democrats. And we'll go from there. I'll be right back with either a combat or a summary of what happened. Okay, the Democrats didn't do too much. They're still trying to maneuver around here. Yeah, they're still trying to maneuver around. The Free French wanted to put him here in Damascus. Okay, so that's okay for that. The British withdrew a little bit right there. And that would have cost them nothing because it's the only oil-dependent unit they moved. And over here, after the Democrats finished, everything in China is good. The Soviets are trying to patch together another line of some sort down in the south, but at least they have something up in the north. Still big gaps, but hey, what do you want? You know, it's 1941. I think that's it. We're going to go back around to the fascist impulse, and we're going to roll a die to see what the weather is going to be. So far, the weather has been very friendly to the fascists. We'll see what we get now. A 2, and again, that's going to be fair weather everywhere. Impulse marker moves up 1. Okay, I will come right back after I figure out what the Germans, the Italians, and the Japanese are going to do. Okay, the Germans have taken a chance this turn. They feel they need to keep the pressure up on the British, on the Commonwealth. So they took an air action this turn. They won't be moving anything out on the Eastern Front. But they feel that all they need another impulse or 2, and I'd be right up on that line anyways. So, we're bombing London, and we have an air battle. The British shoot first. They have 6.9. The Germans have 7.2, 7.6. Minus 6.9 is 1.5, which is going to be 6.9 minus 7. 7.6 at 7.6. That's going to be plus 1 minus 1. Actually pretty even. So the Commonwealth rolls first, and that is the absolute worst roll you can get on the -1 chart. Defender clears through any one bomber. So they're going to clear through this bad boy. And now the Germans roll, shooting at the Commonwealth fighters. They roll a 10. That's not much better. 10 on the +1 is defender clears through any one bomber. They don't have any bombers. So we will do another round. The Commonwealth rolls. They roll a 14. A 14 is much better. Okay, defender abort. Defender aborts own front fighter or front bomber. I think the Germans will abort their front fighter. So he will abort. And then the Germans roll. They roll an 18. That's going to be a killer. And 18 is AX. Attacker destroys defender's front fighter or front bomber. We will destroy, and the pilot is dead. We will destroy that front fighter. Japanese did not lose their pilot. The British are going to lose their pilot. All right. Now, do they continue? We've got 7 versus 5.4, which is going to be 1.6. Going to be +2, -2. Yeah, we're going to go another round. All right, let's see what we get. And that's a 10. The British just can't seem to roll at all. Defender clears through another bomber. And we'll clear through this. And the Germans will respond. And they roll a 10. That's also a bad die roll. 10. On the +2 is attacker clears through. Attacker clears through. Defender. Anyone defending bomber. There's no British bombers. We'll keep going. We didn't lose anything, so we'll try another round on the Germans. Oh, that's much better. That's a 4. On the -2, a 4 is DX. Defender destroys own front fighter or front bomber. I think the Germans will destroy this Romanian bomber. And he's probably going to go back in the... And that pilot is not killed. So they get a pilot. And then the Germans will reply on the +2. And they roll a 13. That's not a very good result. On the +2, 13. Defender abort. Defending player, Defender aborts own front fighter or front bomber. In this case, the British will have to defend this Hurricane 1. And I think they're done. They're not going to fight with those kind of odds anymore. Yep, I think they're done. All right, now we got a bombing run. We have 9 flak points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 bombers with 9 flak points. Hit the aircraft. 9 flak points, 6 bombers. 2 dice, lowest of 2 dice. So I'll roll the 2 white dice. It'll be the lowest of these 2. Forget it. it does absolutely nothing. They need at least a 5 just to abort one of those bombers. So now we'll add this up and see what we're going to have for a bombing run. We got 2, 8, 11, 14, 17 bombing points. 17 bombing points. We'll roll a die. Could be just a big nothing. No, not with that. 17 bombing points with a 9 is 3 production points destroyed and a factory. So there's only 2 factories left here, I believe. Yeah, so the Commonwealth will only lose 2 production points, but they will have another factory destroyed. And I will land all those planes. And when we come back, we will come back with the Democrats and the Communists. I almost forgot, we have the possibility of a sub-battle in the Atlantic as well. Just have to flip a sub, which we will do, and roll dice. A 3 and an 8. Well, the 3 becomes a 2. And it includes the 2 and the 3 box, so there will be a sub-battle there. I gotta go figure out what we got for points and everything, and then come back and see what we're gonna have. Okay, we got this all figured out. We have 8 surprise points, so the Germans are gonna shift their sub-attack factors 1 column to the right, and the ASW column 3 columns to the left. So they don't have any DEs or CVLs, so they're going to damage 1 sub and abort 3, and we're going to get 2 sunks and 1 damage. So we'll do the Germans first. They're going to damage, they're obviously going to sink convoys. We'll sink them 3 right there. And then the British will pick this cruiser. Yes, we'll see if he sinks. We'll roll a die for him. He needs better than a 7. He doesn't. He's gone. Sorry. And 1 damage. We're going to damage the carrier. Get rid of that carrier. A lot of ASW on the carrier. And let's see. Did he save? No, he did not. He's going to the repair pool. Okay, the CAGs go back in the reserve pool, and the Commonwealth gets credited a pilot for that. Now we got 1 damage and 3 aborts for the Germans. So the Commonwealth will pick this sub for the damage. It's one of the better subs the Germans have. So they will try to damage that. It needs to save on better than an 8, and it doesn't. It's damaged. So it will also go to the repair pool. I don't think there's going to be another round after this, so now we got 3 aborts. We're just going to pick them. 1, 2, 3, just like that. They're all about the same. Okay, those 2 9s. Okay, the first 9, he's aborted. The second 9, he's aborted, and this guy up here, he also is aborted. So there isn't going to be another round of combat because the 1 face-up sub is now aborted. So that's going to be the end of that. But the Germans are happy with the way it went in the Atlantic. They're very happy with burning London to the ground. And I think the Italians don't actually have anything they want to attack this turn. They just took a land impulse and moved stuff up, trying to get something going down there in Africa. So we will move on to the Democrats. Got to go check out what they want to do. I'll come back with a summary. Okay, nothing going on in China with either the Democrats or the Communists. they're kind of standing pat right there. Down here in Africa, Democrats kind of just trying to shuffle units around best they can. Nothing changed much in the Caucasus. The Russians are trying to keep some kind of semblance of a line going here, but it's tough. And I think we're at the point where we can roll to see if the turn is going to end. So, because this is a 1. The Russians need a 1 to end the turn. A 4 doesn't do it. Okay, so we will move on to the fascist. Now it's time to roll weather. Weather. September, October. And 8. That's going to shut things down. Rain in the Arctic, rain in North Temperate, fair in the Mediterranean, storm in North Monsoon, fair in South Monsoon, and fair in South Temperate. Add 1 to the next set of weather rolls, and the impulse marker will move up 2. So I will see what I'm going to do with the fascists here. Rain is bad. That's really bad for attacking, so I don't really see too much going on. But I will come back with anything that I manage to figure out. Okay, the fascists didn't move too much in the rain because their supply is severely limited, so they basically had a lot of units out of supply. The Italians have decided to not do anything. They could have chanced a 3-to-1 attack, but nah, it's not worth it. They don't have enough to do anything against Wavell. Another 3-to-1 attack, and again that'll be the assault table, and they really don't want to lose a big pile of very valuable units. So they're going to wait until they get some more build-up. There's nothing going on in the Atlantic because there's no subs available to turn over. All the bombing has already been done, so the only thing we have to do is roll to see if the fascists end the impulse. So we'll roll a die. Let me check that. Nope. We'll move on to the Democrats. Now here, the Democrats got a decision. They don't have to do anything in China. The subs are taken care of, so there's no more damage that can be done in the Atlantic or bombed. The Italians aren't doing anything, so I think what the Democrats are going to do is they're going to take a pass. And that gives them a 2 to end the impulse. So they're going to try that. Nope, not on the 7. We will move to the communists. They're definitely not going to take a pass. They definitely want to get moved. They definitely want to move some units. Okay, the communists basically didn't move too much either. 1, they don't have a lot to move, and 2, they're still affected by rain just like the Germans are. So we're going to roll to end the turn. This is going to need a 3. And we rolled a 2, and the turn is over. So it ended on the communist turn, so there will be no adjustment to the ideological modifier track. And I think what we will do right now is I'll come over here. And we should have been taking a -1 on this chart, but now we're going to. The war with Democrats. I'm going to grab some dice. Forgotten about the Neutrality Act, subtracts 1 from this die roll. So, okay, so we're going to roll for Germany first. Need something to write with. Germany first. Germany gets a 4. 2 other powers at war is a 6. 39, 40, 40, 41. So 2 years at war is an 8. -1 is a 7. There's a +1 for Germany. Now we'll roll for the Italians. I think they've been at war for a year now. That's a 5, which is a 7. An 8, which is a 7. They're going to get a +1. And finally, the Japanese. That's a 5. They've been at war since 37, so 38, 39, 40, 41, so that's plus 4. And then you got plus 5, plus 6 for Italy and Germany, and then minus 1 is plus 5, so that's a 10. That's going to give the Japanese a plus 3. Yep. Building up now. Alright, let's roll for partisans. And after I do that, we'll do production. And I'll come back with a summary of what each nation, each of the major powers built. So here's the partisan roll. It's a 3. And the 3 is Belgium. Nope, there's 2 units. There's 2 units in there. Yeah, so it's a possibility. Belgium could go, so we will roll a die for that. They need a 1. An 8 doesn't do it. Spain, Finland, France. Okay, France. France is a 15. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 from 15 is 2, or 3. So we need a 3 for partisan in France. 8 doesn't do it. Yugoslavia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 from 9 is 4. Yugoslavia needs a 4. Yugoslavia gets a partisan. Japan, Indochina, Japan, USSR, Indochina is a 3. There's 2 units in there garrisoning, so that makes it a 1. 9 doesn't do it. And I think, oh, USSR. Okay, USSR is a 16 or 20. I think it's considered a 20. Ukraine is 10. USSR. I don't know. I don't know. Do you roll for Ukraine separate from the USSR? I don't think there's a Ukraine on here, is there? No. It also has a Belarus. I'll roll. This only count units not on the line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It's more than 20. It's going to be a 0. It's only because the Germans couldn't catch up with the Russians. And so that does the partisan. That does that. Now I'm going to do production, and I'll come back with a summary of what each of the major powers has built. Okay, let's go over production. Production, the Germans produced 36, started with 32 and spent 32. The Japanese produced 19, started with 17, spent 23. Italy produced 14, started with 13, spent 14. The Soviets produced 28, started with 26, spent 26. The Commonwealth produced 14, started with 8, and spent 15. The US produced 28, started with 12 and spent 13. China produced 5, started with 5 and spent 5. The Free French produced 1 and started with minus 11 and spent nothing. So there's the current production. I will get those on the wheel. And thanks for watching. It's been definitely an interesting turn. And everybody have happy holidays. If I don't get this uploaded before Christmas, have a happy new year. And I'll see you all soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Appreciate it very much.